So, Magda, in terms of contracting, what do you need in our contract for today's session?
For the supervision session?
Yeah.
What do I need? Wow, what a question. I need it to be mutually beneficial, I would say. Beneficial certainly from the growth perspective, clearing any doubts. Challenging. Challenging in a safe space. Future-oriented. Yeah, I think I'll stop here.
Fantastic. Mutually beneficial, growth, clearing doubt, challenging in a safe space, future oriented. I'm really curious. Now that I've read that back, is there any parallel, any resonance with the way that you team coach?
Another big question. Certainly there is. I think I need to give a background here. I'm a team transformation coach, and all my previous assignments were with teams in healthcare environments. Specifically, I think the case that we will be using for in today, there was a 6-month intervention, I would say team transformation coaching intervention with senior nurse leader in a healthcare facility. So yeah, I'm sure there is a specific way how I coach. Being a nurse and a coach myself, there is a certain approach or an attitude, values, behaviors, everything that I bring to the table is connected to my past, I would say. Even though I say this session is future-oriented, I am pulling the tools and the skills from the basket that I already have put together somewhere in the past, and I keep adding.
And in terms of today's supervision, what do you need to get out of it in service of the team?
I think I would like to look at my own practice and see the blind spots that might be there that I am not aware of until today. So through these discussions, I'm gonna become aware perhaps some blind spots, some other perspectives, and some other tools that I could use in the future to make it more effective and beneficial for the team being coached and for myself.
Perfect. And shall we now move to Miro and play with the image cards?
Okay, yes, please. I haven't played before.
That's absolutely fine. So you haven't played before. Have you used Miro before?
Not in a way, probably not in a way that you are referring to, but I do use mirrors in coaching sessions myself, including with teams.
Brilliant. So we're going to a board with, there's lots on it, but we'll focus on the image cards. And I'll give you, Magda, the link in the chat. And everyone else can, as you know, see the Miro here on Zoom. So other people don't need to enter. And I will share the images as well. Okay, so can you see the white square?
Yes, I can.
And just, as you can see, moving a few things away from there.
I can't see. Ah, here now.
Sorry, sometimes it can take a minute to load. And so with that space and with your intention to identify blind spots, what images represent either the team or the system that the team's operating?
From the ones I see on the screen, okay, we have a nail and a hammer. This could be representations of the way that the teams are operating or behaving.
Would you like me to move them, or would you like to move them, Magda?
Oh, okay, I can move.
Yeah.
It's working. Okay.
So the nail and the hammer represent the way the teams are operating. And what way are they operating?
Let's say at the beginning of our journey, team transformation journey, it transpired that the systems they were operating in, they were rigid in structure. So if there is a nail, there needs to be a hammer to hit on it. And if the nail is yellow, the hammer needs to be yellow, not an orange one, perhaps.
And the impact of that was?
The impact of that was that in situations when they needed innovation or thinking outside of the box, there was a struggle because the image that was in their head was only these two possibilities. So orange nail, orange hammer. There was a struggle to see that we could use something else instead.
way did you choose to work with the team around that?
See, so evoking awareness. I used specific exercises that were aimed for collaboration. So for example, having a scenario, and if we have 8 people in the team, to help them realize that there would be 8 different ways of approaching a specific scenario. And this way, through reflection, people would realize that we can achieve the same result, but using different tools.
And so if in a situation with teams again, and this type of thing's happening, what else may you choose to consciously do in service of the team?
Perhaps reflect on previous actions and make them reflect like what outcome was reached by applying the old tools, or perhaps only the tool that was considered as the only one that can be used. So different ways of making them see that different perspective.
I'm also thinking I7 of the 7-eyed model in terms of yellow hammer, yellow nail, and what way is that rigidity in the wider system that they operate?
Yeah, because they're only part of a system, right? So if they're behaving this way, then it means it came from somewhere. It's never an isolated case. Yeah. So I can now reflect on different conversations. For example, interdepartmental issues or breakdowns in communications were also attributed to the ways of thinking that we need to do it the way our team is doing it. So for them, they were unable to see that they are a part of a bigger system and others need to, let's say, almost like become pieces of the puzzle. So this puzzle can join together and see that there are ways to fit in together or to belong together.
And one of the focuses that you wanted for this session was uncovering blind spots. Where are we with that in terms of the discussion so far?
I think the blind spots are with relation to my own practice as a team coach. And definitely now when I hear myself saying that people are sometimes stuck in these specific ways of doing things, I need to be very aware of myself not being stuck in the same category, because I have worked in various healthcare settings, and definitely there is the baggage that I carry with me of how things should be done in a certain way. So I would say using the same or similar technique of challenging my own way of thinking, that I don't use the same set of tools or the same exercises, and I really see what is emerging during our interaction.
I noticed this hammer and nail in terms of size is quite big compared to the other images we can see. What might that be about?
I think the hammer could be a representation of the system. So the system is considerably larger comparing to its components. However, if the components are gonna join together like the pieces of the puzzle, then there can be a synergy between the components and the system.
The relationship between that and your focus on being more expansive in what you do with teams?
Okay, what's coming to my mind is to almost have like a puzzle set with all the previous experiences that I can join together, and to have blank puzzles for the future. So there is the uncertainty and the unknowing how the future interaction with the next team is gonna fit in this puzzle set, because the dynamic is gonna change every single time.
Which image might represent that?
Let's say this is my puzzle set.
What words come to mind looking at that?
That it is complex. A lot is going on. You need to really be conscious and curious to discover the meaning of all the pieces, why they are sitting next to each other, why they are sitting in that specific position.
Magda, I encourage you to use I instead of you, so I need to be.
Yes, I need to be more conscious, more curious to discover why these specific pieces are placed in this specific way.
Mm. And what I'm experiencing right now is almost a little bit of overwhelm, because there seems to be so many pieces there.
That is true.
What's with this barrier between where the picture's taken and all the pieces?
Funny that I didn't see the barrier till you mentioned it just now. Blind spot? Is it my blind spot? Yes, because we don't see the blind spot till we get that awareness. Yeah, so when I choose to remove this barrier, or when I become aware of this barrier, I will choose to remove it. And then I can have a closer look at all the pieces and reevaluate.
So there's some things that we may do as team coaches that may be part of our blind spots. Sometimes we can go to fantasy, it'll be fine, it'll get better. We can go to atonement, making up for things that are not right. And of course, you've worked in this system, being a nurse yourself. We can go to regression, childlike mode, for example. Is there anything that you need to remove to be the team coach that you need to be working with emergence?
I think what I need to remove as a nurse and as a team coach, I need to remove perhaps the desire that there is always a cure, because in healthcare we are always looking for cure. So it is gonna get better, there is a solution. So sometimes the confusion or the overwhelm needs to be there in first place for us to appreciate that this is a starting point, and from there we can move forward and try and see a different perspective. So yeah, I should not be too much attached to finding a cure, especially at the very beginning of the intervention.
And when you're not finding a cure, what are you doing in your practice as a team coach?
I'm helping the team to discover, not the cure, what is another word for cure? I'm helping the teams discover different perspectives and different ways of thinking that are leading to different ways of behavior. And by this, they can reach different outcomes. And majority of the time, this is the initial goal, being able to see a different perspective and stop doing the things, especially in healthcare, because we always used to do it this way.
Mm.
So we always end up in the same situation.
And there's quite a lot of space around this image.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit smaller than the hammer and the nail. What's in that space?
Actually, what the action that I can see happening is to go in there and try to see every piece individually, and perhaps use this space to lay all the pieces on that space to see them as they really are, not buried under this mountain, or under the mountain of rubbish. Or it's not rubbish, actually, this could be our blind spots.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe the blind spots are actually hiding underneath this mountain of what? Of fixed beliefs.
I'm curious what's in and out of your control as a team coach working in partnership with the team.
What's within my control is definitely to explore all the pieces, and we can keep exploring as many times as is needed if it's beneficial for the team. And each time we will explore, we might end up with a different conclusion, and it is okay. And sometimes there won't be any solution or a cure, and it is also okay.
Mm. I invite you to lean back and look at this image from that angle. And the last things you said were, and sometimes there isn't a cure and it's okay. What are you noticing now about that image from that angle?
It's almost like a different perspective. When you are too close, you can't see properly. Maybe there is something there that is beneficial, but you can't see it because you are immersed, almost like a one with this picture.
So are you too close? Are you immersed because of your other role as a nurse?
This could be partially true, but also I was reflecting recently a lot that there are a lot of shared values between nursing and coaching. Like the empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think like when I used to empower the patients to take actions for themselves and to arrive in a better place than there were previously, but maybe I was trying to assign my scenario of how this empowerment should look like.
And so you also mentioned for this session, you want a future focus. What's that awareness leading you to?
The future is unknown and is unpredictable. So again, I think I could connect it with the cure, actually. Because if we're aiming for the cure, there is like a fixed outcome that we want. But if the future is unpredictable, that I should just look forward to what is coming. And I can see that perhaps you are pointing towards clouds, that there is always something exciting, even at the back of this big mountain, complex pieces.
It's interesting. I saw the clouds and that beautiful blue sky a while back in our session. And I was feeling that it wasn't time yet to bring that awareness. But you're there now. And interesting, when I was clearing the white bit of the board at the start, the word results wouldn't move. Wonder what that's about. And I notice your posture just shifted then.
Yes, it's a different perspective. More relaxed.
Hmm. And stay in that more relaxed. Stay with this. And I'm going to ask the group that are part of our supervision system here if any of them would like to share in brief what they've been experiencing so far. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, no problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I'll stop share just for a second. And if anyone would like to type in the chat or bring yourself off mute, the focus is, in brief, what have you been experiencing during this supervision session so far? So it's not advice giving, it's not question giving, it's what you've been experiencing. Anyone like to share?
If I may jump in, Claire.
Sure.
Thank you for this session. It was very informative. I noticed that using visuals helped a lot in clearing the situation. And I would like to ask Magda, how did she find using the images? What was the impact of visualizing it? How did it clear things for you? And beside the questions, of course, that Claire have asked.
And so we'll keep that, we'll put it in the parking lot, and we'll address that near the end of the session. Thank you. Suresh.
Thank you, Claire. For me, the experience had been more about the peeling of onion was literally in front of me happening. That's how I felt. And the level of shift in the energy, just to bring out an example of what Magda jumped out of, was in that picture, and the border in the picture or the barrier in the picture. She kind of quickly said blind spot. So overall, my experience had been a number of blind spots that opening up, and the space was expanding. And I felt the systemic approach was happening. Thank you.
Anyone else like to share? There's one thing in the chat I'll read there. Very interesting approach. So the technical, ways of doing and the approach we've used, will bring that in at the end. Anyone else like to share what they've been experiencing?
I can still add one more point which just came up also.
Sure.
On the picturization. And at the start, when the nail and the hammer came in, the color of the nail and hammer also came together. So that was more of looking at the picture and multiple senses in the way how Magda pictured it. Was so beautiful. Well, I've never ever thought such a kind of a thing will evolve just in a few minutes. When you have a picture coming in and the nuances of tiny little details of the picture can be correlated back.
Any more experiences before we go back to Magda? No. Oh, we can't hear you, Noor. But you're off mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. I like the way that you were asking the questions. So you're very calm and you were going with the flow, but asking the question that you were, and Magda was pausing and thinking. And then she started like to open up and see like new things coming in. So that was very interesting for me as well, like to sit and listen and see how the process is flowing. And yeah, thank you.
And so let's go back to the board, Magda, and let's go back to you coaching in the healthcare profession, and you wanted to have a focus on blind spots, possibly using different approaches in future, having more tools in the basket. And so from what's been shared from the others on the call, what awareness has come to you during that sharing?
For me, it's been a really interesting journey over the last, I would say, 12 months. When I attended sessions, either coaching training sessions, supervision, mentoring, and the mentor or the supervisors were using creative tools like art, even this picture of nail and hammer. So I've noticed how much more awareness I'm having with regards to my own practice, just by looking at the picture and trying to perhaps assign a meaning and so on. So going back to the basket of my tools, I started introducing similar tools when I do group coaching or team coaching. And I've noticed how much more awareness there is. Even faster awareness, I would say. People start reflecting on things that sometimes is difficult for them to reflect when you just ask a question. And the picture can be non-related because we just have, this is not related to leadership or healthcare, but depending on what is there, what is the issue and what is the goal, people try to find a meaning and start assigning their own meanings. So for me as a team coach, this has been like a breakthrough, using visual art and visual tools in sessions, because it helped me think even more. I really have to dig deep under the surface to find my blind spots. And this is really, really funny in this session when you mentioned that there is a barrier, and I have not seen this barrier before. So this is like a straightforward blind spot.
And do you use things like image cards with your teams?
I started, but it's only for the past 12 months. It was not something that perhaps I came across earlier, or maybe I didn't know how to do it, or I was not confident how to do it.
So our conversation in our supervision relationship right now, things feel, for me, lighter, maybe even a bit more casual, calmer, fun, yeah.
Fun.
We're both smiling, less serious.
Yes.
And so
learning should be fun, right? So if I do the same with the teams, then definitely I will bring a lot of fun and a different approach to just a standard conversation, coaching conversation.
Maybe them uncovering their blind spot. And so what's a good way for us to end this supervision session?
I think we could end it with gratitude. I was not expecting it. So this is like, additional positive point on a Monday. I was not expecting even to volunteer, but then I saw no one is volunteering, so okay. So yeah, gratitude. I've learned a lot. I've gained new awareness. I discovered blind spots. And I've discovered, perhaps added additional tools to my basket to use in future.
And I've just seen this one here. Gratitude from me. Thank you for stepping up and being vulnerable and brave, being supervised today. And also it looks like a high five. And the teams that you work with, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you for this.
I often think, I wonder if the teams knew how much time we think of them, what would shift in them.
That is powerful.
Good place to close.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And so, Magda, with permission, we'll talk now about the process with everyone. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
And some things came up so far in terms of using images and this approach. So anyone like to share? Soha, you were on point for this bit of the session before.
Yeah, I've noticed from my learning with teams that using visuals, it's a tool to drive into results and outcomes. And when you used it in supervision, I noticed how all the questions went around what she was visualizing. And it seems it's boosting up all the desired or the hidden agenda of what's going beneath the surface. So that was a great learning. Thank you.
I do find that looking at different angles, even when we're online, we can lean back, we can obviously zoom in to the finer detail of the picture. All of that's useful. And also things such as, what's the photographer seeing that you're not? So even more perspective. We could have even used, and if you are stood on top of all those bricks with the team, what would you be experiencing then? All sorts of interesting ways to explore the images. I always work to consciously not name the image, because that's for the person being supervised to name it. Because just like the barrier, we may see things that stand out to us that don't stand out to them. So the more they explore it, the better. Thanks, Soha. Anyone else like to share in terms of the way we work together? Magda, if you've got the energy, because I know sometimes after supervision we we want a little breather. If you do want to chip in, what worked for you and why? And then we'll go to Susanna and Miro.
During today's session?
Yeah.
I think what worked for me was my own vulnerability, because I tend to just jump, and volunteer for things. And then, as I said, I'm grateful because I have the unexpected learning and unexpected awareness. And definitely, as I'm fairly new to using visuals during coaching sessions, I am exploring more and more, and I try to add new tools. And I'm gonna go as far as design my own tools. So I already started on this. So I want to put my mark on it and have specific tools for nurse coaching, for physicians coaching, and so on. So this is really beneficial. I'm really happy that this progressed in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susanna.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Claire. Thank you. That was fantastic. Miro is new to me. I've been aware of visualization in terms of nature coaching and going more potentially into the realms of ecotherapy, but I don't necessarily want to work in that area. Last week when I was with somebody who works in this area and I was using it myself outdoors, there was a problem with the signal. I mean, it wasn't that I hadn't paid for unlimited data. And therefore, I'm super interested in this, whether I can learn more about how Miro can be used in other areas other than just team coaching. I'm also effectively a qualified health coach. And what I was going to ask you was, is there a possibility that rather than just using the visualization for perspective, can you help it with individuals at work and in their private lives towards aspects of motivation for actions, taking action that maybe they are reluctant for whatever reason?
Absolutely. So you can use it for any purpose at all, really. So Miro is effectively a whiteboard that goes on and on forever. And what I've done is we've created these cards that are, we just have this little logo on them, top right, that are hard copy, but also soft copy. So we put these in, and the advantage of using this type of approach online, the person being supervised or coached or the team together, they can make it smaller or bigger. So another way to do this is, let's say that's the team leader, and this is the person in the team who is slightly quirky, should we say, or it could be different departments. This could be procurement and the team are not following the rules. This one may be the growth and the ideas person in the team, and they're overpowering the team leader with their ideas. So there's another way that you can use them as well, and the fact they can make them bigger or smaller depending on the team they're working with. Now and again you have a team member who's sort of over here, and it may be that someone needs to draw, and so we can actually see the way that this person it is on the peripheries. So we've got the team, and even though they are in the team, they're not operating as a team player. So the bigger, smaller, the space between the different members of the team, all of that can be useful. But also in one-on-one coaching, it may be that someone chooses a past, present, and future. And so if it was to do with health, who knows what this particular card represents for that person. And then this card, which is actually Toronto, this card that they've chosen, and why this card now in terms of your health. And then moving forward to, and what needs action and where do you need to be? And of course, these aren't, I've not selected these in any way, they just happen to be three together. And then the conversation would go to the last bits of the competencies, action, accountability. We've zoomed right in there. What do you notice when you zoom in closer? What are you noticing as you look at all three cards that you've chosen together? Another way to do it is, you know, the very simple diagnostic of 0 to 10. Of course, you can use stickies and type, which is neater than me just drawing like that. And it may be that they choose cards for where are you now in terms of your health? Well, I'm at 7. And what's 7? And we've got this chili. And then it's all exploration around what are you experiencing at 7 and what's the impact on other parts of your life if you want to go systemic. You can even blend in Gestalt by speak as that chili, I am this chili. Other things you can do are, what are you noticing about the, you know, what's standing out in this image and what's blurry, and what might that be representing in terms of your health, or what needs clarity, all those types of things. And then they may choose another card for 10. Why this card? What's under the water that needs uncovering? What else are you noticing about this image? What's beyond this image? Sort of moving them towards 11 as well. And then you can, you know, hone in on action, accountability. What are you going to act upon? Because, by when, all that type of thing. The other thing is, if you're not using the screen, or if you're doing this on your phone, you can share images ahead of time. Of course, they may have images in their phone or laptop that they want to use. There's lots of free ones online. We tend to take our own so that there's no plagiarism issues. And they can just send you the picture via WhatsApp. So you've both got the picture there. Another way to do it is without Miro, literally holding the picture up to the screen. And if people put it right in front of their face, that tends to be the best place to put it. And then again, you can both see the image. So even without Miro, there's many ways we can work with image cards. And then on the back of these physical cards, we've got random words, which is another way of playing. And some people are visual, some people prefer the sort of reading and writing, so that can work as well as another stimulus. And with a team together, you can even work on something that's great for team coaching. What is your purpose? And they all choose a card in terms of what is the team's purpose. And then together, they have to talk and decide on just one image that represents their purpose. That can take 40, 50 minutes. And yet it's a really rich conversation. And of course, you can do breakouts to support psychological safety and then bring them back together to share as well. Another way to use it is for leaders in terms of, it may be group coaching, in terms of a time when they failed, and they choose a card that represents a time that they failed, and they share about that. If you're doing that with a team as opposed to a group, that can really support them into leaning into each other, because of course they're getting to know each other at a human level. And then I'm hearing the words of Peter Hawkins. What's disconnected that needs connecting? That picture I took outside Piccadilly station, train station in Manchester. And I'm always curious, the neon lights lit up there on an old dilapidated building.
Yeah, superb. I haven't got involved in or know much about it. I know people. Well, I'm just saying this probably ignorantly, but they use Lego in sort of situations. But one of the reasons I wasn't drawn to it is, to me, all the blocks just seem so static. I just couldn't get my head around. I know you create something with it, but I think using imagery it is very powerful, and you know, I echo what other people have said. It maybe boosts all kinds of enlightenment and what have you.
Yeah. So Lego, absolutely, I love that. We work in partnership with Paul Sandbar, and he provides programs about twice a year for our community for Lego Serious Play, and that's all about the liminal space, as he calls it, from where as is, basically in business terms, to be, and what needs to emerge to enable people to get to that place. So actually it is more dynamic, because as people are talking, they're actually moving the Lego and things shift during the conversation. So it's useful as well with that to take a photograph or a screenshot at the start and at the end to see physically what's shifted.
Oh, thank you. I mean, forgive me, I'm not aware of what the process is. So yeah, I'll keep very open-minded and maybe explore more. Thank you very much.
No problem. And that's just one of the things you can do with them. I've also worked with clay. That's really interesting. It's, you know, it comes from therapy, of course, and yet I'm often sat here with, you know, blue tack. This is white tack. I'm often sat here just because I am kinesthetic and tactile, and yet stood up at my desk or sat down at my desk all day. There's something around, you know, Magda didn't know, but I'm stretching this as the conversation's happening. And then sometimes I check in with self. I'm curious why I've actually put that in a certain way. Yeah. So we do one program called Imagine Me, and that's 5 different parts related to using poetry, images and metaphors and all sorts of other creative approaches.
Sounds amazing.
So any other thoughts or comments as we close this session?
That was a very interesting session for me, because this is the first time ever sitting through a team coaching supervision session plan. Thank you very much. Thanks to you, and thanks to Magda for being brave to step up and becoming a supervisee in this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magda. Absolutely. Yeah. There's one more thing I want to say, and it's talking to what Susan was sharing. Sorry, Susanna. Forgive me. You can also use AI tools, so ChatGPT, but there's also other ones that are even more fun. I'll put one in the chat. There's as with all of these things, you know, there's a free version, and this one is Dream.ai by Wanda. I think that's the spelling. And the way that works is you can choose a number of words. So you can wrap up a session with what's the biggest learning, and everyone shares a word, or if it's one-on-one, the person being coached or supervised shares some words. You put those words in, and then you can choose a type of art, be it, you know, Art Deco or, you know, the Japanese, is it called manga? And then you press go, and it creates a unique image that's never been created before from those words and your choice of art. And so that's also a way of locking in the learning. And I've had teams that have done that at the start of team coaching with one image, and then we've done it at the end of the team coaching project, you know, 6 months later, and seen how the image has changed over time. And of course, all of this, just like using psychometric profiles, all of this is a stimulus and a way to evoke conversations for enabling transformation. Another way of using it is ikigai, working out, you know, life purpose, and you can use an image for each bit of that. We use it with the Coach Me model that's in over 50 languages, including Klingon, and using an image for each bit of the model. So an image to represent skills, knowledge, results, and so forth. So there we are. So we'll be sending you one CCE resource development, because this, obviously being supervision, is your entitlement. So we'll get that across to you this week. Thank you so much for attending. If you want to find our image cards, I'll just put in the chat. We've got Coach Me cards, which are questions with the model, and then we've got the Imagine Me image cards as well. And there's also there's a free 52-week complimentary download there, in case anyone wants to go on their journey of transformation as well. So thank you all. Lovely to see you. Keep an eye on the homepage of our website and on our social media, because we do, as you know, have complimentary Coach Me community cafes at least once a month. And have a fantastic evening, morning, or day, wherever you may be in the world.
Thank you, Claire. I just want to ask you, I opened the AI Dream and I found it Wombu. Is it the same?
It is.
Wombu?
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good fun
Thank
to
you so
play with.
much.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.